William and Jessica had been in a relationship for 3 years, 2 of which were spent happily married. Jessica worked in a small publishing house, and William had 2 professions, economist and university lecturer. On Saturdays, they enjoyed spending time together. Despite Jessica's beauty, William never felt jealous, and she reciprocated him. So when William called Jessica after work and told her that a friend had invited him to a bar for a drink, she wished him a good evening and hung up. After that, she went on about her business. She could never understand why some of her friends forbid their partners from going out with their friends. It seemed absurd to her. Meanwhile, William and his friend David were sitting at a bar where David was complaining about his life. It turned out that his lover had been unfaithful to him throughout the 6 months of their relationship. She was often seeing other guys on dating sites, oblivious to David's feelings. And Jessica do the same? Asked David suddenly. William was taken aback by the question. He had never experienced infidelity personally, and refused to believe that his beloved wife was capable of such behavior. Shaking his head, he confidently replied, "She's not." David, bitter from his own experience, couldn't help but smirk. "That's what I thought of mine too. Sweet and kind, but there's a real rat lurking beneath the surface." William sympathized with his friend's misfortune, but could not agree with his opinion. He trusted his wife completely. However, as William finished his beer in one gulp, David continued, "You know what I've decided? I'm going to vet everyone I date, look them up on dating sites, and create fake social media profiles." William raised his eyebrows in disapproval of this approach, but his tipsy friend remained firm in his decision. Truth be told, the thought of checking his wife for possible infidelity had crossed William's mind before. He tried to push the thought away, condemning himself for thinking it. But David's words that a seemingly good wife might be hiding infidelity stirred an uneasiness in him, and he could not shake off this lingering doubt. A struggle was going on within him. He was torn between 2 halves. One part urged him to let the idea go and move on with his life, while the other warned of possible scandal, and even divorce if the affair was discovered, and Jessica found out about the tests. William was afraid that his wife would be hurt and offended by his distrust, but decided to take the risk anyway. However, as they say, curiosity killed the cat. It is worth noting that during their 3-year relationship, Jessica never once gave her husband a reason to doubt her fidelity. She did not stay late at work, rarely met with friends, and always answered the phone quickly. She even shared with William the compliments she received from men at work and those who openly tried to hit on her. Her honesty led William to believe that cheating was out of the question. After all, why would a cheating woman openly talk about her admirers? To begin his investigation, William checked his wife's phone for dating apps, but found nothing suspicious. Finding no evidence, he decided to create a fake social media account and text his wife. Using the name Richard and a random photo from the internet, he tried to make the profile look authentic. He texted Jessica every day, but she did not respond. She didn't accept the friendship request and simply ignored the messages. Feeling desperate, William began leaving vulgar comments and compliments on her photos. He expected Jessica to inform him of the obsessive admirer, believing his wife had no secrets from him. Jessica finally reacted when she saw the lewd comments. She quickly deleted each one and texted Richard, asking her to stop and not text her again. William seized on the message and continued to write more. Although Jessica read the messages, she did not respond to them. "What do you want? I'm not interested in talking to you," she wrote to an unknown interlocutor. "I find you very attractive and would like to become friends," Richard told Jessica, trying to engage her in an intriguing conversation. They had been communicating for a month, but Jessica still hadn't informed her husband William about her interactions with Richard. This secrecy angered William and undermined their trust. Not because Jessica would be furious if her husband started checking up on her, but because William himself was on the verge of causing a scandal and leaving their family. In an attempt to resolve the situation and encourage Jessica to confront Richard in person, William decided to take matters into his own hands. He was interested to see how far Jessica would take this communication. At home, Jessica showed no signs that anything was wrong with her. She was still a wonderful wife, but her behavior had changed noticeably, much to William's annoyance. He couldn't believe that his beloved wife was easily socializing with another man while maintaining the same facade. "I would like to meet you. I think we could become friends," Richard wrote to Jessica, expecting a positive response. "We will not inform my husband of our meeting. It will be our secret," she added, accompanying her answer with a winking emoji. After a month of persistence, he experienced a mixture of emotions when he finally got Jessica's consent. He was happy that he was able to accomplish this, but at the same time he was hurt and uncomfortable that his wife had been unfaithful all along and was now ready to meet Richard. On the day of their meeting, William went to a bar after work and drowned his thoughts in alcohol until closing time. His mind was filled with countless thoughts that made him sick. He wondered why he had made this mess and pondered if things would have been different if he hadn't pressured his wife. Suddenly, anger seized him, and he mentally berated Jessica with harsh words. He was angry at everyone involved, including himself, his wife, and even his friend David, who had originally planted the idea for him to test their relationship. William had nowhere to go. He had to see this through. He arranged to meet Jessica at a cafe on Richard's behalf. William was so anxious that sleep was almost impossible to come to him. All night he tossed and turned, consumed with thoughts of the upcoming meeting and the conversation that awaited them. Exhausted, he finally drifted off to sleep in the early morning. Arriving at the meeting earlier than usual, William sat in a chair and, trying to calm his nerves, ordered a drink. Despite his best efforts, the adrenaline rushing through him negated the effects of the alcohol. By the time he'd finished his third glass, a message from Jessica had popped up on his phone that she was arriving soon. He deliberately positioned himself with his back to the entrance, hoping to prolong the moment Jessica would recognize him. When the sound of approaching footsteps sounded, William's heart raced. It was his wife, Jessica. Realizing that it was not Richard, but her husband, she was speechless for a moment. They stared at each other in silence, neither saying a word as the gravity of the situation hung between them. Breaking the tense silence, Jessica hesitantly asked, "What is it?" William shrugged, trying his best to keep his composure and appear unfazed by the unexpected turn of events. "Separation," he suggested in response to her unspoken question. Nodding slowly, Jessica signaled for the waiter to bring another drink, and they sat down, avoiding direct eye contact and slowly sipping their drinks. Emotionally, the separation seemed to have affected Jessica more than William. She went to live with a friend, and 6 months later started a new relationship. Meanwhile, William continued to watch her life from a distance. After a year and a half of marriage to her new husband, Jessica found herself in the middle of another breakup, this time because her husband had started a secret family, a mistress and a 2-month-old daughter, behind her back. William wanted to be happy, but at the same time he felt sympathy for his ex-wife. She was alone again, while her friends had settled down and had families of their own. William tried to imagine what Jessica was going through, but he couldn't get rid of the unpleasant feelings associated with the situation. His friend was right, and even someone as seemingly loyal as Jessica was not up to the challenge. It meant that he wouldn't be able to trust future women as unconditionally as he used to.